Welcome back to another episode of the Amateur Hour podcast. Deshaun is here again.
Hey guys.
And we're talking about the NBA again. We're going back to NBA. We're talking about Pretenders and Contenders and which teams fit in those two categories. And last week, I did an episode on Ricky Rubio where I praised him very highly. The same Ricky Rubio that you and me were shit-talking a lot during the Houston postseason series, and for good reason, but honestly, deserves a lot of props for what he's doing with the team so far this year. But let's start with the Phoenix Suns. Pretenders or contenders?
I absolutely want to see the Phoenix Suns be a very good basketball team, but I feel like they are pretenders. I think their roster is really deep, and I've watched a few of their games. Like I watched them play the Clippers and the Nuggets, and they played really well in those games.
They beat the Clippers.
Yeah, they beat
handily,
the Clippers. Exactly. And Devin Booker's going off right now.
Devin Booker's, like I said, like his stats are the most ridiculous stats I've almost ever seen.
Exactly.
Like it's at the time of recording 50-50 93.
I absolutely agree. He's been wet. It's great to watch. But I just don't think the Suns, when it comes down to it, are going to be able to get it done. And that also, I mean, we haven't seen Ayton really play. I think he's played 2 games before he got suspended. So when Ayton comes back and, we're 30 games into the year, we'll see how real the Phoenix Suns are. But right now, I think they're pretenders.
I don't want to put them in either category. I'm going to kind of wimp out of this one. I don't think they're contenders. Because I said they're not going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're pretenders either. Because this is a Phoenix team who's a lot better than they used to be. I mean, honestly, you could put Aaron Ice in his Baines in the MIP talk. We didn't put him in our talk, but he could be in the discussion because he's averaging 15 points after averaging like 4 last year.
Absolutely.
He's filling in for Aiden pretty well. I did a full episode on Ricky Rubio. That's how impressed I am with him. Devin Booker is unreal right now, but. They're improving. This team is on the up.
I agree. Monty Williams is a great coach as well.
Yeah.
He's done an amazing job coaching.
I really don't like Phoenix drafts. Like the Josh Jackson one, like not much can be said about that one. He's in the G League now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Cam Johnson at 10 or 11. A few raised eyebrows with that one. I really want to see them succeed, but I think they're on the way up. But they're not contenders, but they're not pretenders. This team is, they're here. This team's better, and they're gonna be. I think they're gonna be in the hunt for a playoff spot.
So where do you see them seed? Like between 7 and 9, or do you
no. I see them between 9, 10, 11, that area. Okay. Like I'd say 10 or 11.
So you just see them making improvements. So last year they're obviously a bottom feeder. You just see them
second worst in the league.
Yeah, you just
19 wins.
You just see them just missing out.
Well, 3 years in a row they've been the worst team in the NBA.
Exactly.
There's only up from there, right? Or worst team in the West. Excuse me. The Knicks are worse than last year. We'll move on. Phoenix Suns, you say pretenders, but but you kind of agree with what I'm saying. Next team I want to talk about, the Miami Heat. Pretenders or contenders?
I think they're absolute contenders. I think that they got that bulldog mentality, and we talked previously about Jimmy Butler, leaving Philadelphia, and I thought that was the best situation for him to play in, alongside Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Yeah. They had the best starting lineup last year. Arguably with Golden State.
Not arguably. I think that Philadelphia was the best starting 5 in the NBA. And that was ridiculous what they had. And JJ off the bench. Oh my God, JJ Redick off the bench too.
Like that team was a very good team. The Raptors luckily beat them, won our chip, but easily could have gone Philadelphia's way.
Oh yeah.
I think
can I just say something about that? I want to see the world if Jimmy Butler doesn't go for the layup at 90-88, kicks to a wide open JJ Redick in the corner, and JJ Redick puts up Philly by 1 going into the last possession where Kawhi's the game winner. But Jimmy Butler takes his layup and they tie it and Kawhi's the shot. I want to see the world if Jimmy Butler kicks it to a wide open JJ Redick who hits a 3. That's just what I want to say. We'll
never know.
Do you know the play I'm talking about?
I do. He was wide open because
it was 2-on-1 basically. Jimmy Butler fakes a pass, drives, easy layup. But JJ was open for that 3-pointer. That's what I mean. Anyways, continue.
But Miami Heat, Bulldog mentality, they play very, very well. Dragic off the bench as a point guard, playing really well. Obviously a former All-Star, so...
I like Miami as well. Kendrick Nunn from G League to Rookie of the Year candidate 1 year. Crazy for an undrafted player. Tyler Hero, one of the most slept on players in the draft. He was a lot of people voted him to be the biggest bust in the draft. Wet. Best shooter in the draft. He's playing very well. Jimmy Butler is hooping. They've been very impressive. And I call them contenders as well.
I think they have...
Especially in the East.
Yeah, they have 5 or 6 players averaging double digits right now in points. So it's all really, really balanced, which I think is
And they have a good coach. Great coach. 2-time NBA champion with the LeBron era. He's been there. Or I think, is he a 3-time NBA champion?
I want to say he's twice. I want to say Pat Riley was the coach still in Miami.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't 100%
But...
know.
He's won more than one NBA championship.
Exactly.
This guy's a good coach, and he's coaching his team very well. This is a balanced team. I like it. Contender. Do you have a team you want to talk about? I got a few more.
Well, let's talk about quickly the Raptors. Obviously,
I was gonna say the Raptors next.
A lot of people disrespect the Raptors, and I can't believe an NBA champion can be disrespected the way it is. The way that they talk about us.
It's remarkable.
You showed me the highlights when we played the Lakers, and not a single highlight had.
ESPN, when the Raptors beat the Lakers, ESPN posted a highlight, like the highlights as they usually do for games of the game. There was not, no exaggeration, there was not one single Raptor highlight in the Raptors' victory over the Lakers. The headline was LeBron scores 27, AD scores whatever, and they showed not one single highlight of the winning team. Never mind you, I sent you that on Instagram. There was those pundits, former Raptors coach Sam Mitchell.
Yeah,
and he had the Raptors as the 8th seed in the East. The guy he was talking to on NBA TV had them not in the playoffs.
Missing the playoffs. Absolutely. Crazy how disrespected the Raptors are.
The Raptors are winning games without Lowry, without Ibaka. And they won a few games without OG Anunoby. It's ridiculous. They have, the bench mob is back. The bench mob is back. TD2, Matt Niagara Falls Thomas.
Chris Boucher, the Canadian.
You and me, I remember, 2 weeks ago, you and me ripping on Chris Boucher. And all of a sudden... turns into a goon in the paint. He can shoot the 3 as well. They got all day Hollis Jefferson. Incredible bench squad. I love it. Next man up mentality. I love it.
It's great to watch.
Everybody talks about Kawhi Leonard last year, but you know what? I'm starting to think it's Nick Nurse. I'm starting to think the most important factor about their championship win, as good as Kawhi was, obviously I'm not discrediting Kawhi, but Nick Nurse might low-key be the guy that won us the championship, not Kawhi. Because with this squad, honestly, you look at the player personnel, this team probably shouldn't be a contender like they are.
Oh, no, I agree.
And they're crazy on defense. They're hustling. There's grit. Just outwork the Lakers in that win. That's why they beat them. But contenders. This team could win the East.
I agree.
Great team. I love watching the Raptors right now. I'm so happy. Next on the list... the Houston Rockets. Pretender or contender? I
want to say the Houston Rockets are contenders, but when you look at them play and you see Harden, and Harden scored 49 and he had 41 shots. And he had, I think, 20 free throws in the game. So when you have one guy taking 61 different types of shots during the game, including I think it was 25 threes, you do not win a championship. And D'Antoni's a great coach if your team wants to score points. 7-second offense was his idea. Score buckets as fast as you can. Yeah, he developed out
the Suns, where he also did not win a championship.
Right, so I mean, that's his type of style. Score as many points as you can, and obviously, you're going to outscore the other team if you do that. But the way they play and, I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see James Harden chucking up that many shots as them winning.
And never mind that James Harden is one of the worst playoff performers when it comes to when you compare his regular season to his playoff. He is the Clayton Kershaw of the NBA.
Absolutely.
He will be a monster in the regular season, MVP, notoriously MVP candidate, but in the playoffs, just doesn't show up for some reason. Just doesn't show up. And I could see it. I could see it going the same way. Russell Westbrook, I've been very critical of him in his playoff performances in the clutch. I don't like him in the clutch like that. And for that reason, they're pretenders when it comes to playoffs. When it comes to the regular season, this team is a contender. Mike D'Antoni's a regular season coach.
I agree. I don't think the offense works.
He was a 1 seed with the Suns how many years and never won anything. Houston, it's looking at the same thing. They've lost to the Warriors 4 of the last 5 years. These guys moaned for a straight year about how they should have won the NBA championship 2 years ago, and they came back and they're gonna play the Warriors and it was gonna be different this time. Yeah. And they lost in 6? You and me watched Game 6. They played awful. They didn't deserve to win. It was just a sorry ass performance. I think it's the same. I don't see any different. Any other teams you want to talk about? I could talk about a couple more.
I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
That's good. Yeah, it's good.
Pretenders or contenders?
Okay, it's tough because roster-wise, it's not the most appealing roster.
I agree.
But you also have a 20-year-old MVP candidate, Luka Doncic, going to town. Like, straight up going to town right now. I had them as my sleeper pick for a playoff team. I didn't put them in my playoff seeding, but I said they could sneak into the 8th. They could honestly be higher the way the league is looking right now. For the play, like, I'm gonna call them a contender, not a contender for the West, but like a contender as in they're gonna keep up what they're doing.
Okay,
they're gonna stay.
They're not a bad team.
They're not pretending that they're this good. I think they are this good because Luka's hooping.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree.
This guy's disgusting. It's filthy. I have to wash my hands after watching Luka Doncic play. This guy's going to be almost a triple-double average at 20 years old. Oh, my goodness. He is going to shred LeBron's record and Magic's record for triple-doubles before the age of 21.
I agree.
And he's already shredding it. It's ridiculous. This guy's going to create records that won't be beaten for a long time. That 25-minute, 35-point triple-double that he just had.
Yesterday? Crazy.
Well, at the time of recording yesterday. But, yes. He's gonna set some records that won't be beat for a long time. Like, it's ridiculous. Well, do you agree?
I absolutely agree with that take. I think you're spot on.
Next, the Boston Celtics. And I remember the start of the season, you and me had discussions about how bad the Celtics were. But then they won, 10 in a row?
I think it was 9 or 10 in a row.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
They lost the first game, then won I think they won 10 in a row after they lost to the 76ers. But, I mean, you know how I feel about Jason Tatum. I've been critical of him. You know how I feel about Jaylen Brown. I've been critical of him. However, I do like Enes Kanter. Kemba Walker is volume scorer. He's getting used to the system. But they're, just straight up, are they contenders with this team?
I think with Gordon Hayward playing the way he was before he was injured,
yep.
I think that they are contenders. I think they just pose so many different options to scoring, to elite level scoring.
Yeah, they do.
That a lot of teams don't have.
Especially now that they've added Hayward, whole new dynamic on that team.
I think that's the thing. So that's the difference, is that their level of scoring is elite. Like, it's not just this. It's not the same as other teams have. So, for example, Milwaukee, their offense is all surrounding Giannis. They don't really have any elite level scoring outside of Giannis, even though Chris Middleton was an all-star. I don't see him as elite. You saw him get strapped down in the playoffs last year. Literally averaged 8 points a game versus Toronto in that playoff series. The whole offense is really Giannis' drive, and if you can't get to the rim, kick it out, someone shoot. Philadelphia, they just have too many, what a great defensive team with no shooters whatsoever. No shooting.
Hey, Ben Simmons is a shooter.
Yeah, he hit a three-pointer. Ben Simmons, his first career three-pointer. But, absolutely no shooting. And when it comes down to it, and I think that's going to be the biggest downfall, is your team needs a point guard who can shoot. Absolutely. you're not going to win with the point guard who can't shoot. Yeah, he can facilitate, defend,
You don't
rebound.
think the 76ers are going to win the East?
I don't think the 76ers will make... I don't think so.
All right, so do you want to... Well, let's just quickly... Are they a pretender?
I think the 76ers are a pretender. Like, I think that... But I think their ceiling is the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see them being the best team in the East.
Milwaukee or Boston, you think? Or Toronto?
I think Milwaukee is the number one team, and I think Toronto, Boston, and Philly are between 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. And you can throw Miami in there as well because they played very well. Miami. But that's just what I see when it comes to...
Okay, let me give my take on Boston. I think this is a regular season team. And the reason I think it's a regular season team is because their way of scoring for Tatum, Brown, Hayward, like those guys, the volume scorers, or even Kemba, you could say, mid-range. That's their game.
That is true.
And mid-range is a dying art in the NBA.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the close games in the playoffs, the mid-range is not going to win you games.
I feel that.
And I think when they need their points, I think even if they're good for mid-range, you need the three a bit better. Jason Tatum's he's getting better. Jason Tatum's getting better. He's making the jump. I was critical of him in multiple episodes, but I said, even though I still think he's overrated, he's getting better.
He is.
And he can get into that point where he's not overrated anymore. But 21 points per game, basically. Shooting okay from 3, 39%, that's pretty good. But I think that this is a team that relies on the mid-range a little too much for me to be the contender in the East. As far as the 76ers go, it's kind of the same thing. This team's not really shooting the 3. Like you said, Ben Simmons can't shoot the 3. Josh Richardson is meh. He's acceptable. He's an acceptable 3-point shooter if you have a good 3-point shooter. But he can't be your number one. Embiid, inefficient.
Yeah,
Al Horford, again, he's acceptable, but he's on the level of Josh Richardson. You need a better one. So Tobias Harris, pretty good.
Yeah, Tobias Harris is a good shooter, but man,
you need a better one.
You need a better
You're
shooter
missing
than
JJ.
Tobias, yeah.
We were talking about Milwaukee winning the East. Milwaukee's another one. Bledsoe's not tremendous at the 3. Giannis isn't tremendous. He's getting better. You lost Brogdon. Big loss. That was dumb.
Huge.
Middleton is a good 3-point shooter, though, so you got him. Brook Lopez, for some reason, is wet.
He's a monster.
So I think I'll go with Milwaukee as well for the East, but again, Miami, Toronto nipping on the heels. But Boston, regular season, they're like Houston. Regular season contenders, postseason pretenders.
That's fair. Absolutely.
And I think when Boston, as well as they're going to do, when they come up against the Heat, Toronto, 76ers, Bucks, I don't think they're going to beat those guys. They maybe will beat the Heat or Toronto, but not the Sixers, not the Bucks.
That's fair. I agree with you.
I think, I don't really have anybody else to talk about. I think we've covered all of that. Anybody else you feel like are overachieving?
I think there's a team that's underachieving, even though they have played pretty well so far.
Who's that?
I think the Utah Jazz, who I saw lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that they're right now at the time of podcast they're 9-5, but those 3 of those 5 wins have not been acceptable losses. That's a good record, but I just don't think that they are a playoff team.
There's a lot to figure out. Mike Conley needs to get his head out of his ass, first of all. I don't know what is going on with Mike Conley right now. I'm going to pull up his stats. I don't know if you know his stats.
I saw Mike Conley.
All right, I got it. 37% from the field, 34 from 3, 15 points. He has not averaged that little amount of points since 2011, 2012.
He was hurt that year, no?
Or 2012, 2013, excuse me. He did... no, he's played full seasons.
Okay.
That was a lockout year, I think. He only played 62 games. Inefficient, more inefficient than he's ever been. He's getting better. You know what? These were a lot worse before. He's getting better. But what Utah did over the summer is their problem was scoring. So they tried to fix scoring. They added Bogdanovich, who puts up 20 a game.
Huge.
Mike Conley, who's a good scorer, who should be. Got rid of Ricky Rubio, who I said in the Ricky Rubio podcast is good at his role, but he's not what Utah needed. So they got rid of him. But right now the problem is scoring. Mm-hmm. Sound like a broken record talking about Utah. They thought they fixed it. Defense still fine. Scoring isn't there. But I think it will come over time. I think they're underachieving right now, but I think they are still contenders.
Okay. So you think that they can make the Western Conference Finals? Because that's what a contender.
Okay. I don't have them because LA teams and Denver. I like Denver a lot.
Okay.
But it's because the conference is loaded. I think they're underachieving, but underachieving, but I don't think they're gonna make it.
Okay.
Conference finals. They're a team that needs the other team to have an injury to win.
Okay.
Like they could maybe beat Houston this year, but again, I don't really see that.
I don't see that happening.
But I think that's it for this episode. Thank you to Sean for joining us again. He's been on a lot of podcasts lately, and we love having him on. Hopefully there's more soon. Daily content again. Haven't missed a day since the 21st of September. Ridiculous amount of episodes in a row. It's like somewhere in the 60s days in a row with an episode. And come back soon for more daily content.